and just essentially ensuring that they get the most out of their investment into Google. So I'll pass over to Martin to do a brief intro.
Yeah, sure. I'll be talking more about my background a bit later on, but Martin Russell, I'm the Director of Customer Success for Netpremacy. Yeah, that's me. Adrian?
Hi, good morning all. My name is Adrian. I'm a Google Workspace specialist. I focus on partner sales within UK and Ireland, and I'll basically be explaining about how the partner engagement model works with Google.
Fantastic. Leon, can I pass over to you for a brief intro?
Sure. Sorry. Yeah, I'm Leon from CEX, and I think the best description is senior leadership within the CEX company.
Fantastic. Nigel, can I pass over to you?
Yep. Hi, I'm Nigel Wilby, Head Office IT Manager for the Bannatyne Group. I'm responsible for central IT services across the group.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Wicked. Can you jump on to the next slide, Martin?
Yep.
So a brief run over the agenda today. It's going to be quite fluid. So we've had some briefing. I'm going to be passing over to Erin, who the partner model and the support model from Google. Then going to pass over to Martin, who's going to be running the bulk of this, just to get more insight into the CSS environment and what we offer to our customers and our proactive support. And then we're going to open the floor to the guest speakers, really just to understand what they take away and what they've gained from the CSS program, and then open the floor to Q&A. So it's pretty easy today, guys. So without further ado, I'll jump on to the next slide and pass over to Adrian.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Martin, if you could go straight to the next slide, please. That's great. So I'd like to talk to you a bit about Google's business model and how we basically sell into the market. We're a channel-first organization, which means that we want all of our customers to work with a regional reseller or a value-add partner. How that works is for you as customers is it's very simple. There's no additional cost. Google fully subsidizes the cost of our partner ecosystem. We've been doing that since day one, and we intend on keep doing that forever. No other vendor fully covers the cost of their partner resellers. Another thing that we offer is a consistent pricing to you as a customer across the entire partner network. So any discount that the customer has will remain with the customer, regardless if you are direct with Google or with a partner. And obviously, when it comes to partners, we exercise full price parity. All partners get exactly the same discount, which, as I mentioned, is linked to yourselves as customers. We do recommend that you work with a premier level partner like Netpremacy, because those partners can really bring a lot of value to customers. In terms of the value, there's many things that you get from working with a partner rather than direct. So just to give you an overview, when you're working with Google Direct, it is purely a transactional relationship where it's mostly self-service. You will basically come to Google with a request for whatever product you need. You'll get your quote, and that's it. If you need any support, that's something that in Google is only restricted to Google admins. So in case you have let's say a team lead or a new hire, if they have any issues with their G Suite or Google Workspace, they won't be able to get support. That's going to have to be bounced internally. They won't be able to get any advice from Google because, as I mentioned, you have to be a Google admin to get support from Google. Whereas if you're working with a partner like Netpremacy, you can get a support contract in place, and Netpremacy can help each and every one of your employees with any issue that they may have. In addition to that, the partners can bring in their expertise. So when you find yourself in a situation that you have a major project with data migration or domain merge or anything like that, that's something that a partner can really help with. They can also help with helping with best practices, additional services, but also helping you get the most out of your package. For example, a lot of customers would sign up for enterprise packages purely for one or two reasons, such as DLP or data regions. And that's something that the customer focuses on. But when you have a partner, they can actually help you unlock the full potential of everything that's included in the package, because there is a lot more. So that is pretty much it on the Google's approach. So I guess I'll pass you on to Martin to cover the next bit.
Thanks, Adrian. That's brilliant. Thanks. So yeah, I'll give you a quick bit of background on me, and then hopefully I'm going to tell you why Netpremacy is a bit of a differentiator in the partner network because of the CSS Programme product that we have, and it very much is a product rather than just a service. And so to Adrian's point there, you know, why I work with a partner is because, you know, Google, being the monster it is going to find it very difficult to give the appropriate level of love to the businesses out there, where a partner can, right? You can be a really important cog to a partner. You can be a really important business and get the sort of love and attention that I think you deserve, and you also feel like you deserve as well. So it's really important that you understand that direct with Google is very, very different to working through a partner, and it's absolutely what Google want to aspire to get towards, that sort of 100% partner-led business. So yeah, so my background is, this is the first time I've sort of worked in the services industry. I've been at Netpremacy now coming up to 2 years, but prior to that, I've been in the enterprise space. So I've been on the other side of this call, where I was, you know, director of IT for companies like Just Eat and Metapack for many years. So dealt with many service providers and solution providers and technologies, and always wanted to try and build a more than just a reseller relationship, right? I'm not buying HB pencils from somebody. I'm buying I want a relationship. I want to get the most from those tools, and that's why I feel like, yeah, coming to this side, it's something I really wanted to strive for, something that you feel value in beyond just a, hey, I want more of the thing. Can I have more of the thing at a great price? That's not an interesting conversation. It's not an interesting relationship. So that's why we've born this thing called customer success. And I think it is different to what other people do. So yeah, that's a bit of my background. Everything I do within this business and my team is all backed by our sort of mission and principles around sort of building success, right? Creating environments for people to have success in, backed by the principles I have there around, you know, doing the right thing, being transparent, you know, being proud of what we do, because ultimately I want to build a great relationship with you, and I want us to look at these things and look back and say, are we making the best choices for our businesses together? Are we making the right choices going forward? Have we checked in against ourselves, against why we're doing the things that we're doing? So it's very important for me to have that sort of mission and principles out there, and hopefully it aligns with your own. So what is CSS? A few people have said the word support this morning, but I want to try and differentiate it from that, right? Of course, Netpremacy does support, absolutely does break fix support, and does it brilliantly. Super high customer satisfaction, super high SLA achieved, but it is there for that break fix. CSS is not that. CSS is, you've made that decision to go Google, you've made that choice to get that solution, and potentially you've also gone live, right? We've had the high five, we've popped the champagne, we have the go live day. But frankly, there is a lot more that needs to happen going forward to ensure you're now getting the most from that tool. I say things like sweating the asset quite a lot, but it's true. That license you've bought isn't just for mail and drive. There's a whole load of things under the hood of that solution, and unless you've got someone who can probably, you know, be a little bit of a thorn in the side to ensure you're getting the most from that, it doesn't always happen. So CSS is that. It's about creating a ongoing roadmap with some milestones set in there to achieve ultimately what it is you want to get done through that solution. You know, how's that going to change not only the technology, but also people and behaviors and culture within your business, right? There's a good reason why you've gone down the Google road. Maybe it was a vision around being a SaaS first business. Maybe it was just a focus on collaboration, maybe it was reducing the Microsoft footprint. Whatever it was, there's a lot more to be had. So it's much more than just a reactive support break fix function. It is much more about, you wanted to get there, this is how we're going to help you get there. This is the program of work we're going to work with you on to get you to that light on the hill. This is the classic kind of logo slide, but it's actually much more than that. I'm super proud of this slide because this is actually a community of businesses, and I'm really lucky to have two of them on the call today. And this is not just, these aren't working in isolation. This is a community of businesses that talk and share and and have events together, have lunch and learns together. We're all coming across the same hurdles. There's very rarely a new problem out there. So guess what? All of us have experience of stepping on the same rakes, and hopefully can avoid it with each other. Around maybe it's an adoption piece, maybe it's a culture piece, maybe it's a technology piece, that we can share ideas and work together on getting better at. So as you can see, there are some pretty significant businesses there that can share some pretty sort of awesome ideas around how we work together. And I'm really proud of this community, and it gets together regularly. We had a lunch and learn last week to talk about the Chrome roadmap, Chrome OS and Chrome devices. We have big events where we get together to talk about ways forward with different things. So it's a really nice, proper community that shares ideas. Of course, I've talked about a lot of fluff there, about a lot of feeling of stuff that goes on in CSS, but clearly it has to have a structure. So we have these two plans. The CSS Enterprise is typically the one you'll see being used by the businesses that are talking to us today, and the ones that are on that slide before. And it is the full fat program, right? It is meant for those enterprise level businesses, and that's defined by your licensing level within Google, clearly. But we do have a CSS business for those businesses that are maybe not quite there yet, right? They're maybe a bit smaller. They may be operating in the business product space. There may be a growth business that's looking to expand. So there is a tool there to make us start to build that relationship. I want to be there. I'm a startup guy at heart. I was at Just Eat when it was a very small business, and right through to it was a very large business. So I always want to be around to help businesses grow if that's possible. So having that business product means that we can be there from the beginnings, and also the enterprise product is there for when you're appropriately there to work with us. So there's some stuff in there like the customer events, the campaigns, and I'll come on to those shortly. The strategy planning workshop, that's where we set out that roadmap. What is the light on the hill? Why have you gone the directions you've gone? What are you trying to achieve? How do we make sure we're getting there? What are the milestones we're going to set together? What work needs to take place on your side? Where do we need to start delivering items and solutions? And where do the two meet? Classic stuff like your ops calls, think of those akin to your stand-ups. The service reviews clearly with me to make sure that what we said is what we're doing and we're going in the right direction. So there's a whole load of touch points in here, way beyond what you might get from, say, account management or support, right? This is very much an ongoing proactive product that hopefully you'll see huge amounts of engagement from. Talked about the campaigns, and these are specific days of work, right? And this is just some of the popular ones that we see. And there's another slide here specifically around Microsoft. But again, these are things that can either be evangelizing technology, that can be technology driven, such as, things like mail authentication. It's a complex subject. Not everyone knows exactly the best way to achieve these sorts of things. And guess what? We've done it many, many times. Again, going back to those logos, we've helped every single one of them with these various topics. And therefore, why reinvent the wheel in your own business? Utilize and use that great knowledge that's out there, the great learnings that have happened, the best practices that are there, and just consume it. Get it done, right? This stuff is absolutely possible, but you just might need some guidance to make sure it happens. We're constantly adding to this, and I'll come into that a bit later, but this is just some of the popular stuff that's out there. Specifically, things around, I know a lot of businesses are, once they've gone Google, they might still have that Microsoft footprint in the business because there's areas that struggle to move. And we have topics here to help that move across. So specifically focusing on things like the finance department, not just showing people how to do something, but why you would do something. Why would I move this spreadsheet from Excel to not just sheets within Google, but maybe Data Studio BigQuery because of what I can actually achieve once that data is hosted in a better way. I'm not just working from giant spreadsheets anymore. I'm thinking about the data differently. I'm thinking about how to consume and create value from it. So we have specific campaigns around that. And these are delivered over, tend to be a day, but it could also be spread over a longer period of time if we want to have a bit of a slower kind of, delivery of, maybe it's an hour a week that we do this for, 8 weeks or whatever. Each one of these can be customized and created, and ultimately they were created by that community that you saw earlier. So I think there's a lot of value in these. I talked about CSS as a product, and it's one of the things I brought in when I joined. Is absolutely, I want this to be seen as a product. It is not just a touchy-feely thing of we want to help you get better, and we've called it customer success. I think a lot of businesses have customer success, and what they mean is third-line support. This is very seriously a product. It has a product manager. It has a roadmap. We're constantly working on the content of this solution to get better. And this is just an example of our actual roadmap that we have. I'm not going to go through it, but hopefully you can see there might be a lot of interesting subjects in there that you want to get involved in if you're part of the program to help your business develop. And it's all sorts of stuff from technical to non-technical. One of the big things we did last year, given, I would have liked to have run a physical event for everybody, but clearly the world wasn't going to let me do that. We all got together in December of last year and ran a 5-day event. So that community you saw before, and you can see it again there, spent 5 days together, on many, many subjects that we all wanted to talk about. And it wasn't just all me talking, and I promise I'll stop soon. But it was about sharing ideas, about sharing things we could do to work together, sharing plans. It's leave brands at the door, leave job titles at the door, and just get together as interested technologists in this space to help our businesses grow and develop with the tools that we've chosen. And it was really good and really empowering, and I'm hoping to repeat it again this year. We've got an event coming up in 6 months' time. Actually, no, less than that. 3 months' time, which is really focused on champions. So those people in your business that are the boots on the ground, right? We can all sit around as leaders in technology and take credit for a lot of what happens. But the reality is, it's the people with the boots on the ground that actually make the change, right? And we need to think about how do we reward and develop and grow those champion networks that we have. And if you don't have one, why you should, because it's the greatest way to scale your tech function, right? So that would be another event that comes up, and then hopefully we'll be doing another CSS 2021 at the end of this year, talking about the things that we've achieved and the things that we want to achieve next together. One of the things we also push is getting involved with things like the alphas and betas that are out there. So as you are probably well aware, and hopefully you are, the Google product changes pretty rapidly. I don't know how many releases they do a day at this point, but it's an ever-changing world, which is such a better place to be than sort of waiting every couple of years for a new product version to come out. And therefore, we really encourage businesses and will help them get involved in things like the early alphas and the betas that are out there, so that you can get a head start on the technology that's coming and be ready for when it arrives, right? We'll identify those areas where they could really help to accelerate a certain area of the business. So that's something you can only really do through a partner and through a CSS program to sort of get involved with these things. We will help you because we've probably already tested it and already sort of hitting some of those rakes I've talked about before to get the most out of it. So you don't go in blind. You definitely go in with some understanding of what this thing does, how best it helps you. So that's just the CSS part covered. One thing I kind of wanted to give a headline to was, what I've just talked about is CSS for Workspace. And this year I'm in the current sort of workings of building this out for GCP as well. So absolutely, Netpremacy is without a doubt, I think, the partner of choice for if you want an engagement partner, not just a reseller partner, but engagement partner for Workspace. And we're building the same thing for those people that are also using GCP. So clearly we've done an awful lot of great and good things with businesses in the GCP space. So why don't we build a very similar evangelizing engagement, best practice, brilliant basics, incident management, how to get most value from this platform through a customer success program for GCP. So if that's something else you're also looking at, then absolutely we're someone to talk to for that as well. I'm very proud that this is going to be as good, if not better, than what we already do in the CSS program. So I guess that's the end of the sort of me talking really fastly and trying to get as much information to you as possible. I have got both Leon and Nigel on the call from CEX and Bannatyne, and I thought I'd take a moment just to have a chat with those guys about their experience with CSS, but also those of you on the call, please, please, please ask a question, stick it in the chat, come off mute. I don't mind. I'm a very casual guy, and I will listen to anything that anyone wants to say and try and give you an answer if possible. But yeah, I guess Nigel, Leon, maybe Nigel, I'll come to you first. Why did you jump into CSS? What do you like about it? Give me some thoughts.
Yeah, so I think for us, obviously, we were looking at a part of change anyway. We were having chats with yourselves about initially just changing all the licenses and things like that. But obviously, you know, with discussions, we learned more about what CSS and some of the benefits it might offer. But I think the biggest thing for us, though, that you know, even around what could be done, was just the opportunity really to work with a partner, not a reseller, which is something you've said, you know, somebody who's listening to the business and where we want it to be. And also we gained, you know, additional resource, you know, that's, you know, rich and experienced and, you know, an expert knowledge that we didn't have, you know. So we feel we're always on a learning journey ourselves, but it's easy to reach out to those that have already done. You know, so it gives us some quick answers, you know, gives us some direction, you know. So I think they were the key things for me when we were making that decision.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Nigel. Leon, what about yourself? You're on mute, buddy. It's the classic.
Can you hear me now?
I got you, man.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, my dog was barking in the background, probably for the best. But I think for us in CEX, it was always one of them things where we've used Google for, I think, around 13 years now. And I think from the time we first sort of onboarded and we took that big leap, there's just been so many new features added. And as you sort of touched on about the sort of release map and stuff like that, there's constantly updates being made. And I think for our team, it was good to have another, I don't know, resource that we're able to sort of be in tune with Google and then feedback what was important, what was relevant to us, and sort of understanding our priorities and what we were trying to achieve. So when Google made something available, when we had a problem for 3 months, we'd have our CSM contact us and say, oh yeah, that thing you were looking at, it's possible in Google now. So I think for us, it was just that ability to have some focus on some of the problems we're trying to fix within the Google space.
Yeah, you know, and the point that you've both made there is it's really hard, right? When you made that decision to go with any new technology, and let's be frank, Google is a new technology to maybe the old world we're all used to of a Microsoft environment, and then the Microsoft tools. Not everyone's going to be an expert immediately, right? That takes time to learn and develop, and it can be a bit of a slow process. But through a partner, and especially through us, through the CSS program, I think not only can you sort of scale out your team that bit by having what we call a customer success manager, which both CEX and Valentine have, dedicated to their businesses, so it feels like they've got a slight extension of their team. They've gained a resource without having to hire someone, which is fantastic, obviously. But it's bringing in that's like hiring the skill directly into your team and then using them to then skill up the team. It's why we talk about champions in the way we do, because you might only have a very small tech team, right? Some businesses only have literally one. We have businesses with only one person in tech, and of course that's very difficult for them to scale out. So they use things like the champion networks and the CSS program to effectively scale out their business, which is you know, really, really useful and effective. And yes, you're right. It's useful, you know, Nigel, and also to Liam, your point around the sort of the constant change. It's a real positive that it constantly changes, right? We want tools and solutions that aren't resting on the laurels. It's why I have a roadmap for CSS, so that you know that what you're investing in has a direction. It's moving, right? It's constantly getting better. What I'm paying for in my Google license or it's in the CSS program, what I purchased a year ago, 2 years ago, is a very different thing 2 years down the line. It's getting better. It's constantly improving. But without that, and I always say it, like that thorn in your side, you might not always use all of that stuff that's there. And the point of this program is, and why I value it personally, is because we're going to be pushing you. We're going to be saying, come on, you know, this stuff's there. Let's sweat this asset more. Let's use a solution better. There is a myriad of tools and services like, you know, MDM and device management and DLP and security center and all of these things that you might not have directly gone out and purchased, or you may already be purchasing another solution that's just repeating that piece of work. So, you know, there's where we can actually save some actual value, because we can switch you from your Meraki solution or your security center solution to the Google suite and say, hey, look, it essentially does all the things you needed it to do, except now it's all under that one license. So that's really cool. Did any questions pop up? I don't know. Hi, Darren, by the way. I've just seen you pop in. I'm going to put you on the spot, Darren. What do you love about CSS? Come on.
Sorry for joining late, yeah, half term and all that. So I've been running around with the kids this morning. It's been great for us. What I found interesting, Mike, what you just said, in terms of an extension of our company, we felt for the very first year of CSS, we've definitely felt that way. And for us, it's interesting because what it's done is highlight that we probably do want some internal resource, because CSS at the moment has been driving so much. You're opening our eyes to so much that we're not doing, that at the moment, to be honest with you, we can't keep up. And it's actually showing where there would be value having internal resource to match up with what you guys are giving us. So it's been great. I mean, really fantastic. And one of the things we were talking with Nick literally just yesterday was to say, how could CSS help us find that resource and source it correctly? Because you've got experience of developing and hiring and making these sort of Google guys within a company. We don't have that, but so to work with you guys to be able to do that inside our company and then leverage the CSS to full potential is exactly what we're looking for. So for us, it's I'll be honest, with probably 2 years ago when Andrew Martin was telling me about it, I was a bit like, well, yeah, we've been on Google 13 years, like Leon said. Are we really going to get value? But then a year into it, it's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. So yeah, it's been great, absolutely great.
That's brilliant, and that's why it's right at the very beginning of this presentation. It's like it's really super important that we have that popping the champagne, high-fiving that you've gone live. But if you just stop there, these technologies tend to sort of slip into a malaise of, it's just a thing. We've got it. We'll renew it every year. You've not made any sort of real change, right? You've gone from one tool to another. I can create docs over here. I could create docs over there. So what? And that's generally how you end up feeling about it. But with a proper program of how are we looking to change the way we collaborate as a business? What behaviors do we want to choose to have? Are we moving to a browser-only business? Are we moving towards SaaS first? Are we moving towards some of these missions that I talk about right at the beginning? This becomes one of the elements to make that happen. But without driving force behind it, it doesn't just happen, right? And that's what we try and do, and as we've done with CX and Bantam and many others, is try and be part of that driving force, right? Try and be that sort of look, we want to get there. We're passionate about this, and hopefully that comes across that we're passionate about it. And how do we work together to get there? So I'm thoroughly enjoyed working with all of you. So it's been great. It's been a great time.
Martin, sorry, if I can quickly add
that
as well. Apologies, you've already covered this, but I think you should really definitely talk about the value adds. You probably have, but I mean, when you guys made the COVID, what do you call it? The Express tool. Yeah, that was fantastic. Like for us, that was real value that I took to my board of directors, showing what CSS did for us alone. Just that one value add. So I think if you've already spoken about apologies.
The check's in the post, Darren. Thanks so much. So what Darren's talking about there is, and it's almost, I'll go back to it on the slides if I can be smart enough to do that. Is things like the hackathon stuff, right? So classically, hackathons happening in every business, and if they don't, you should definitely do them. Let people play with the toys; they'll create awesome things. And we did this for identify the problem where people were returning back to the office. How could we? And we did this for our own business. How could we use, forms and calendar and a bit of app script to create almost like a desk booking tool, right? So that people could actually say, hey, I want to go to the office on Thursday. Do we have a capacity in the office? Could I book an actual desk number? So without any cost, we sort of stitched these three things together and made that work, and then realized, well, actually, this is quite a simple tool. I'm sure any business could use this. So essentially open sourced it to our CSS community. And in fact, I think even beyond that now, you can now pretty much get this from Netpremacy if you speak to, probably Alex or Tab. I'm sure it's possible. So yeah, and there's now been businesses, again, in that community like Rent-A-Kill, and I know DFS, and I know Morrison's actually are going to be using it for car parking. And it's all born from just playing with the tools. Again, you've got the solutions there. You're probably paying for it already. And can we come up with clever ideas around stitching these things together to do something? So yeah, thanks, Darren. I mean, we are very proud of those value adds. We've done things for bots, right? You've got chat. People are using Slack, people are using other solutions out there, and they're paying a lot of money for these solutions, right? If you've got a Google license, you've already got a chat system, right? So what is it's missing? Is it integration with bots? Is it integration with monitoring and alerting platforms? You know, some of the things that are done. Well, we've built this stuff. We've built things like an acronym bot. Whenever you join a business, every business has its own set of acronyms that you have to learn, and it will mean one thing in one business and one thing in another. So we've created a bot that you can literally have a dictionary attached to, and you can say, oh, what does CSS mean? Hey, bot, CSS, and it will come back and tell you it means customer success services, where in another business it might mean, you know, a scripting language or whatever. So there's stuff that we are constantly creating and making available to that community as what we call value adds. No cost to you whatsoever. Just consume it. It's a really cool thing, and if you want to build upon it, please go ahead. So yeah, let me have a look at this. So Matt, deploying Google Workspace and driver adoption in the beginning, there's a long trail of entrenched processes. Yep. Yes, let me just would you say that cloud Matt, you should come off mute and talk to me, Matt. Come on. Workspace adoption driving for our next season. So what I think it's you're absolutely right. There is a long tail of trying to address some of these things, and I guess it's probably a lot to get into on this call. But what we try and do is answer the so what question. You know, not just the move for move's sake, it's the show what extra value you can get from doing it in a different way. When it comes to GCP, it's really difficult, obviously, because of people that have spent years and years developing their systems on, say, Azure or AWS. I think what Google and GCP offers now is a really compelling story around a multi-cloud proposition, right? You know, especially with containerization now. Yes, you can be designed for AWS, and you could be looking for that nirvana of multi-region. But actually, I think a better solution now is multi-cloud, so all your eggs aren't in the one basket. And I think that's a much easier thing to achieve through things like containerization these days. Mark, absolutely. So CSS is a paid service, and there's a really good reason for that. And that's because I want you to have skin in the game. I want you to know that this is valuable and you to have high expectations. I think many businesses have customer success. And as I've said before, it's just a tack on to their support. And therefore, if I'm not expecting anything of it, I probably won't. I'm a true believer of if I have skin in the game, my expectations are going to be significantly higher. You know, both you know, Darren, Leon, and Nigel, I think, have expectations that this thing will deliver, and I hope it is. And in fact, I think it is. But it's paid for that reason. One, because there's a cost to us. Clearly, you're going to have a dedicated CSM. We're creating products. We're creating services that have value. But again, it's that expectation that I think is valuable, and it delivers. So thanks for that. Any other questions? Feel free to come off mute or chuck it in the chat. Cool. I will skip to here, I guess, Alex, for you. By the way, Nigel, Darren, Leon, superstars, thank you very much. I said we'd be super casual. So, but your time and your engagement, I'm going to publicly say, is amazing. So thank you for being part of this. It's really great to have you.
No, yeah. And I'll say this as well. If anybody wants to have a casual chat, or away from Martin and Netprem, I'm totally open to that as well, and to tell you what our experience has been like. So yeah.
Thanks, Darren. Much appreciated. Off you go, Alex.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. This is really just a what we'll do next. And you're all pretty much all of you guys are moving to Netpremacy or are Netpremacy customers. So you're going to be receiving a feedback form. Your opinions really do help. But again, reach out if you've got any questions around CSS. Reach out to myself, Tab, or the relevant account manager. More than happy to set up direct calls. We're going to be sending the recording of the webinar to everyone that's joined. And we've also got the new Valentine's case study as well, which we're more than happy to tag on. Thank you, Nigel. Just so you can have a read through of what Valentine really, what the benefit that you guys have got from CSS. But other than that, it's been pretty brief. But like I say, reach out if you want to have a further chat, and I appreciate everyone for joining. Thank you.